This is a Kmart production, brought to you by Dudzik Chiropractic and MJB Electric.
Listener's discretion is advised. ZaBillsPodcast.
Welcome to ZaBillsPodcast. If this is your first time, we discuss the Bills games while we review two different Buffalo pizzas. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the big show.
All right, this morning's edition of Breakfast with ZaBills, we have Charlie Nelson from across the pond from London. Welcome, Charlie.
Thanks for having me on. Glad to be with you guys.
I'm glad that you answered our emails.
I'm always happy to talk Bills anytime I possibly can. I haven't met another Bills fan until like 6 years ago, so any chance I get to be and talk to Bills fans.
So you also host your own podcast, correct?
That's right, Bills from Afar. We're into our third year now. Started during the pandemic. Me and some buddies were stuck in lockdown, and we were messaging about Bills all the time. We're like, you know what, we can actually do a podcast and see if we can make this work. And we're three years in now. I think we've done 150, 160 episodes, something like that.
What's your recording schedule like?
So during the regular season, we will record typically on Wednesdays, and we'll do a review of the game that's just gone, and then we'll do a preview of the coming game. And in the off season, we're a little bit more wild. We usually have a few weeks off right after the Bills get eliminated, whenever that happens to be. And then we'll start getting into season reviews and into draft stuff. So that's where we are right now. And then once we get the other side of the draft, and after we kind of let the dust settle a little bit, we'll typically have guests on. People that we know from the Bills community, maybe other podcasters, people from the media, whoever else we can find who's up for talking Bills. And we just kind of use that to fill the off-season.
I'm jealous of how much time he has to podcast during the season.
We're talking to a professional podcaster from England, buddy. I gotta jump in and I gotta ask. You're obviously committed to this franchise. You mentioned that it was a while before you came across another Bills fan in England. Bring me back. What's your history? Why the Buffalo Bills? Well, I mean, I guess you should go back even further. Born and raised in where in England?
Yeah, so I'm from Manchester originally.
Manchester United.
I'm just outside of London now, but yeah, Manchester, northwest of England.
So no real connections with the city of Buffalo at all?
Absolutely zero.
Okay, so I bring me back to my original question.
Yeah.
Why the Buffalo Bills and when?
So I was a teenager when, during the sort of Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas years, you can see over my shoulder I've got a Thurman Thomas signed jersey I'm very proud of. Right. Now, the NFL was shown free to air in the UK at that time. They would show one game a week on Sunday evening. It would be 6 p.m. our time, so 1 p.m. your time on the East Coast. And so you watch whatever game was on. And the funny thing was, at that point, we only had 4 TV channels. And so I'm in my mid-40s now. Now you got 500 TV channels, but then we only have 4. And usually on a Sunday evening, they'll be showing like a religious program, they'll be showing on a Battlestar Galactica, maybe a quiz show or something like that. And any teenager of my age, they would always go, you know what, I'll go and watch the NFL in the other room. That's way cooler than anything else that's on. So everybody I knew had a team they followed, to like less or a greater extent. And the Bills obviously made that first Super Bowl. And I was like, right, well, I got to pick a team to support. Who's the underdog? It's the Bills. Fine, I'll go with those guys. And of course, we all remember how that ended. And then you can't walk away from them after that. So yeah, stuck through them through thin and thin.
Wow,
I should say.
I'm impressed.
That's pretty detailed, buddy. What do your friends that aren't necessarily in your podcast crew, acquaintances, coworkers, say to you when you bring up your Buffalo Bills fan?
Well, the first question is, I work a little bit in the States, so I do get to go to games occasionally. The first question, if they're not from Western New York, obviously, is why the Bills? Sort of puzzled expression, right? And I tell them the same story, and they're like, huh? And they're like, I've never met a Bills fan before here in Louisiana or somewhere like that. So it's always a surprise. There's the Bills, and let's be clear, like the Bills are not like the highest supported team here in the UK. Just give me 1 second while I switch my power on. And it's the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Giants. These are the sort of teams that typically would be heavily followed here. Those were the teams that were typically good, in the 80s and 90s. And it's a kind of a funny thing. So the Bills are just typically not a team that even those people that know a little about NFL, they might have seen the Raiders, jersey around, Cowboys, this kind of team. These are the teams that are typically followed heavily. So the Bills is a surprise to pretty much everybody. And you know what? I wouldn't swap for anything.
The first thing I was going to ask you is how far are you from the Jersey Channel Islands?
Oh, not so far. So I could maybe an hour to 90 minutes down to Southampton. I can get on a ferry, and then it's a couple of hours or so over to Jersey, Guernsey, Channel Islands. Not so far. Okay,
I have distant relatives that live there that I've
really?
been invited to visit. If I get to London, they'll get me there, but I've never taken them up on it, so I'm going to need to do that.
It's not a tough journey. You can get a train from London to Southampton and then get on a ferry. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. But give me a Bills moment, something that sticks out. You said the first Super Bowl. We've been through them all. Anything that if you find that Bills fan that'll talk Bills with you, is there an instance that you like to talk about, something that sticks out in your head?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it depends on how old the Bills fan is, right? Because Bills fans you can fall into two categories. There were ones that were supporting the Bills when I was a teenager, and there's the ones that have been supporting the last sort of 10 years or so. And the NFL has grown dramatically in the UK. I mean, I don't know how obvious that is to people on your side of the pond, but we've been having regular season games for a long time now. I've been to as many as I can get to, no matter who's playing, because it's just an excuse to see a game. And so people either have very recent memories or they have very old memories, right? So if you're in that first category, then of course it's wide right. That's the thing that sticks in everybody's mind, and it's hard to get past that. And people will watch maybe the Four Bills Buffalo, and they see the Bills Mafia, which we now know, and the reaction to that moment, and it sticks in people's minds. How people rallied behind what might have otherwise been a pretty toxic situation, given how close we were. And then, I guess more recently, it's always 13 seconds. It's always, I think most Bills fans these days feel like we're at least one of the top few teams competing every year, and probably deserve a Super Bowl by now. And that was one we were pretty close. So those are the two. So it's kind of moments of misery, right? It's moments of doom and gloom. But I guess that's what defines us as Bills fans. We're still here no matter what.
So you're half a world away, and you still suffer the same as all of us right here in Western New York.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I sometimes think what would happen if we actually won one.
We all think that.
I'd be a sobbing mess. I take the week off work and it's just a wreck.
A friend of mine, mutual friend of Sean and I, he was asking us what would have happened to this franchise had the Bills won one of those four. Like, how would things be actually different now?
That's a really good question. The funny thing is for Bills fans on this side of the Atlantic, that after those four Super Bowls and Kelly win, Thomas win, Bills were never on TV, right? They were not a popular team. They were not a team that was, excelling. And if they were on TV, it was once a year and it was getting beat by the Patriots because everybody wanted to watch Brady. So it's kind of almost hard to imagine, because the Bills almost fell out of consciousness here, by people who were not fans. And I tried to follow them as best as I could, but at that point there was no streaming online. It was like, checking the scores, which best you could do. Maybe you could get some radio coverage if you were lucky. We'd get like American Forces Radio. I used to do that. Listen to radio coverage of games. It was they just fell out of consciousness. And you have to think that if they won one of those, that would have changed. Nothing drives a fan base and encourages fans like winning one. And that team was so good. They had such great players and sort of popular players like Bruce Smith and Andre Reed. We mentioned Thurman and Jim. So I feel like people would have rallied around that. You see it now with people who are Chiefs fans and have been for 5 minutes. They love Patrick Mahomes. When Brady was a thing, I saw so many people. I'm actually a Brady fan. And it's like, what? I don't get that at all. But people rally around particular players, and I think at that point, if we won one, they would have rallied around those players, and they would have stuck with them. And it would have been a different franchise. It's hard to imagine. We all won one before we die, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm excited about what the future holds. I try not to look backwards too much.
Absolutely. Before we get too far into Bills talk, you guys run a Bills chapter out in London, correct?
That's right. We actually have two in the UK. We have one in London, one in Manchester. So we set up the London one about 3 or 4 years ago, and that was our first. It's a bar on a road called Tottenham Court Road in London. If anyone's been there, it's a sort of fairly famous road. And we have a pub called the Fitzrovia Bell, who hosts us every Sunday or whenever we're on. And I emphasize that, or whenever we're on. When we first started, it was like Sunday, 6 p.m. games if we're up at 1 p.m. slot, your time. And we'd first up have maybe like 12 people turning up. It was a pretty small crowd. Over the years, it's grown now, and it pretty much sells out every week, and it's 120 people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is pretty surprising given we're so far away from Western Europe, right? But, you got to make sure you get people who are living in the UK, who Americans, people on vacations. You get people like me who've been bounced for forever. You also get people from all around Europe that happen to be just in London that weekend, and they want to watch the Bills game. So, yeah, it's been a phenomenal thing and a great community to be a part of. We're really proud of it. The Manchester one's also growing now.
Charlie, I gotta ask you, because you brought something up, and it was the time difference. We complained because we had 6 8:00 games. Oh my goodness gracious! How can you be a devoted Bills fan and start watching those? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Were you actually tuning in at 2 a.m. and following them?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I've not missed a game in 6-7 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I literally will. I have my own routine worked out. So if it's, we'll have these 1:15 a.m. kickoffs, something like that. And I will go to bed early. I will get up maybe around 11. I'll watch the game and I'll go back to bed, and then I'll get up at normal time and start work. So
it just dawned on me.
A lot of people do it. I don't think there's ever such thing as a part-time Bills fan, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, we do it, and not only that, our bar now, it's been so popular. They will also open in the middle of the night for us. They will, and that's a tough gig, right? Because they're in central London. There's no transportation or anything. London's a massive city, so you've got to use Ubers or whatever to get around at that time in the morning. But people will turn up. We had 50, 60 people turn up the last time we were at a middle of the night game, which was regular season. So yeah, it's you're either in or you're out.
Yeah, that's got to be tough because we hate watching primetime games here. I can't imagine 5 hours later.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
And we'll look at the schedule, and it's just, the Bills are not getting out of prime time, right?
Right.
As long as we have Josh Allen, we're still going to get 5-6 primetime games this season.
Yeah, I think we had 7 this season.
6 or 7. For sure.
Yeah, it was 7.
Definitely had 6.
It's rough. And, the worst thing is that for me, I live outside of London, so I can't always go to the bar and watch it if it's at that time. So I'm watching them at home, and I don't video watch parties with other friends who are watching live, and it's such a different experience. If we get a 1 p.m. East Coast game, I'll turn up at the pub a couple of hours early, as will everybody else. The pub stops showing any other sport. Soccer doesn't matter, whatever it is not being shown when the Bills are on. The Bills get every screen in that place. It's a whole afternoon and evening of just having a great time with your friends. So when you go to watch it on your own at 1:15 in the morning, it's a different experience.
That's unbelievable. And the fact that you said the Buffalo Bills can muscle its way past soccer in England, reaches volumes. Now, do you run both Bills backers?
No. So I'm VP of the London one.
Okay.
We've got a good friend of ours that runs one in Manchester. He's a Western New York native.
Got it. So you guys don't necessarily compete. You guys kind of collaborate.
No. Exactly. Yeah.
And you said,
so when we started, it was pretty small. We would have occasional watch parties. So I remember the first one I went to was when we played the Texans in the playoffs. So we programmed that game pretty well. And we had 50, 60 people in it turning up. And a few of us said, well, actually, there's probably enough to actually warrant having a bar, and it's a question of finding somewhere. And there's a guy who runs UK Bills, who's kind of like the coordinator for a lot of things in the UK. And he managed to find a guy who was actually a Bears fan. He was a Brit, but a Bears fan. And he was looking for an NFL team to host on Sunday nights. And he was looking for a community that wanted to. And we jumped to the chance. And that was the rest is history. So all the bar staff, they were well into it. They got jerseys, and their kids come and watch it. And most of them never watched an NFL game before in their lives until they started working at a bar, and then suddenly it's dominated by Bill's Mafia and singing and everything that goes along with it. So they got the buffalo chicken wings, everything. It's awesome.
You guys have the beef on weck, and do they bring in the American beer too, or no?
No, so no beef on weck, and we can't even get that blue because it's not licensed for sale here in the UK, unfortunately. So we obviously had a London game last year, and we tried hard to see if we could get a couple of crates of that, but can't be done. It used to be sold, but I guess the wonders of breweries and licensing restrictions means it's not available for us.
Did you go to the Jacksonville Bills game there?
Absolutely, yeah. So actually, that was my third game in a row. I'd been working in the States the previous 2 weeks, so I went to the Washington game.
Oh.
I went to the game versus Miami, and then we had the London game. And we put on a whole event, right? So we had 4 days worth of stuff. We had the Shout podcast, and Matt Green. Yeah, he came and hosted a show at our bar, and I did a pub crawl for Bills Mafia through central London for an afternoon. I had Bills Vader come and join me on that, which was absolutely awesome. And we had all walking tours, and you name it. I think at one point we had 300 or 400 people at the bar. The bar does not hold 300 or 400 people, right? So it was just like spilling out across the city. And that was one of, I think, 5 bars dedicated to the Bills that weekend. It was insane how many people came to London. And obviously the game was not great, and we all blamed the travel arrangements for them being half asleep that first half. But as an atmosphere, as a community, it was insane because I'd just been to see the smash Dolphins in Buffalo, and I just wanted to feel like a home game, And right. I remember arriving at the stadium and there were so many Bills fans. I'm like, oh my god, this really is just feel like a home game. So yeah, it was insane. I mean, hell of a weekend. I can't ever do 3 Bills weekends in a row again. I think my body will need medical attention. But it was incredible. And I know it must be rough for West New Yorkers who miss out on the chance to see their team. But for people that don't know, we supported them with everything we had, and it was really great for most people that don't never get to see them in person.
The NFL tried in Canada, and believe it or not, it didn't go that well. The Canadians have their own football league. They were kind of gave us a cold shoulder. We know the NFL wants to expand its market reach. Are they making inways in England, in Europe? What's your overall view of the NFL as a whole? Not necessarily the Bills.
So I can give you a pretty good feel of this because this is obviously something we keep an eye on. For a long time, there's a lot of discussion about, right, well, London will accept a team if an owner wants to move them there. So obviously, the Jags were talked about for a long time. Then the Chargers were discussed a little bit as well. But no owners yet have made that step. Second thing that happened is the NFL did a deal with Tottenham. I don't know if you're familiar with that soccer team. So the stadium where the Bills played last year, that was a purpose-built NFL and soccer stadium. Some complaints about the turf. I'm sure they'll sort that out at some point. But basically, you can play both sports there, and it is purpose-built that way. So the NFL was wanting to try and nibble away. And the UK was seen as the sort of first market, and some Germany's come next, playing games in Mexico. From what I'm hearing, is that the Bills actually will, in the next collective bargaining agreement, the NFL and the next CBA will actually add an 18th game, and that every team will play one international game. And they're talking about, and let's see if I can get this right, a selection of countries hosting games. So UK, Ireland, Germany, Spain. You can see a game played around Madrid, I think, next year. Mexico and Canada. I think those are the 6. And the weight of the games would probably be UK and Germany. That's where the biggest fan bases are outside of North America. And the idea is to make it fair, right? So the 17th game was seen as a stepping stone to actually getting more teams playing internationally. And I think that's not a bad solution. And they'll add in an extra bye week and they'll remove the preseason game. That's the direction of travel for one period. So this idea of moving a team to London, I think, started to weaken a little bit. The other weird thing is everybody's already got a team. So if the Jacksonville Jaguars move to London, right, they rename them, but not my team, it's my team, the Bills. So, all right, I might want to see a couple of games with buddies, but I'm not going to buy a season ticket. So I'm not sure that stacks up.
That's a really interesting point. I never thought of it that way in terms of you guys have declared a market, Bills, Bears,
right.
Cowboys. That is interesting. That was my next question. Was going to be if you were to get a professional football team right next door to you, would you change allegiances? And I would totally understand if you did.
Yeah.
But you already answered that question.
And the other thing is you got to remember, like, we're not used to franchise sports here, right? So we have soccer, rugby, whatever. These are community led sports, at least initially, and they very, very rarely move cities. I can think of literally one situation where a stadium fell into disrepair and they couldn't do anything about it, so they moved. But it doesn't happen, right? So the way you grow up, you're surrounded by people that support the same team as you. People don't change allegiances, right? They don't even have like second teams or anything there. It doesn't matter where you live, that's your team. And so I think that community of Brits have grown up with the NFL. They see it the same way. They wouldn't, I don't think, shift their fandom simply because a team was moved there. What you would see is people go to games, right? Because everyone wants to see games. And there's no comparison, nothing like live football. But I just don't think you would get a full stadium every week for 8 weeks of the year with a team that people don't have any strong allegiances to.
So how far behind is the NFL to football over there? I mean, is there still quite the disparity of...
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. I mean, I think that the NFL would still be pretty niche, really. It's increasing in popularity year on year, seemingly. Tickets sell out hours, if not minutes, when the game's on sale. But it still feels... let me put it this way. If I'm walking on the street, I'll see people with, NFL gear on. It still stands out to me. Yeah. Okay. It's still rare. And there are people that have never watched a game in their lives. It's on a paid channel here, so in most cases, unless you want to get up in the middle of the night, you've got to have the sports subscriptions, which are expensive, where you get the soccer and the Formula One and the NFL and all that kind of stuff. So I still think it's a long way behind, but that's okay. I wouldn't expect Premier League soccer to be catching up to football in the US either. But the people that want it, the people that enjoy it, have access to it, which is awesome.
I mean, your soccer stadiums, they sell out like every match, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, most will have 98, 99% sell out. And we have 92 professional teams in the UK, but it's just the Premier League is what you'll see, right? That's the top tier. We have promotion relegation thing. But yeah, if you're in the Premier League, you're selling out pretty much every week. There'll be a couple of exceptions, and it doesn't really matter whether the team's good or not. They will sell out. So
I had to Google something really quick. I actually got to see Chelsea at Yankee Stadium over here, and I couldn't remember who they played. It was so long ago. It was Manchester City who they played over here. It was an exhibition game, but I will never forget the atmosphere leading into the game. We're on the subway in New York City, and the chants and the songs, and and it's such a different atmosphere than an NFL football game.
It's funny you say that. I was in Chicago a few weeks ago, and I took a friend of mine who's a Bills fan to go and watch a soccer game. And we watched Man City play Liverpool at the Man City Supporters Club in Chicago. And it was, I don't know, we had to be there at maybe 7:30 in the morning, just because we knew it was going to be busy. And she'd never watched really a soccer game alone once or twice in that, and she could not believe the atmosphere, the singing, the fact that people were getting up so early. So, I mean, most Premier League teams, they have supporters clubs in most major US cities. Whether you see it or not, in Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings, before people are up and out, these bars are full. So it's funny how that's grown, because 20 years ago that certainly wasn't the case. But I think it's great. I mean, people that want to see a particular sport, they have access to the sport now, no matter what the sport is.
I think enough history, Charlie. Give me a little bit of where you think the Bills are going in terms of the draft. Where you think?
Well, hold on. Ask him. Charlie, was last year a failure?
Okay, good question.
Well, okay, no, and I never see it that way, honestly. This is always a big debate, right? Isn't it? If you don't win the Super Bowl, it's a season of failure. If that's your bar, you're going to be miserable most of the time. No matter who you support. All right, Kansas City won a couple of Super Bowls recently. Great, good for them. But that's not going to last forever. It's really rare what the Patriots did. I think you have to enjoy every single game. And I'll never see a season where we make the playoffs as a failure. I think it's so tough once it gets to knockout football. It can swing easily one way or another on a couple of plays here and there. If that's your bar, every season where you don't make the Super Bowl as a failure, then I don't know. I think you're setting yourself up for a life of misery.
Well, yeah.
So I'd rather look at it the other way and say, I enjoy every game. I enjoy the games where we win a hell of a lot. I enjoy the games where we're competitive, and we thank we've been competitive now for quite a few years. I just want to be in it. I just want to be there competing, have the dream of the Super Bowl, not be ridiculous. To me, that's what I get the joy out of. So, yeah, not for me. Not
okay. I think that's a 50-50 on that, right? Because, I mean, the end goal is to win the Super Bowl if you don't win it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. But, I mean, only one team's winning that, right, every year. So, the AFC is such a gauntlet right now. I mean, let's look at the quarterbacks in the AFC. I'm not sure I really remember a period like it. It's insane. But, yeah, it's obviously disappointing. And I have friends who are devastated when we lose in the playoffs. And I can't say I wasn't either, but it doesn't last too long for me. A few days and I'm over it. To next season.
Right.
I just love the Bills, man.
Yeah.
I'll watch any game.
Yeah, I hear you.
Before we go into the future, I just got to know your greatest Bills moment in the past. The greatest moment as a fan going back.
Great question.
Yeah, because you're a
That is a great question. Yeah, so I mean, there's been a few that are just like, I mean, even like that Miami game this last year was insane, just because the stadium was so loud. I don't know if any of you guys were at the game. It was insanely loud, and I don't know if people remember, but Miami they were like, you know, the media's bell at that point, right? They just put 60 points on someone with Denver or something. Everyone was talking about this is the Dolphins' time. This is the Dolphins' time. They walk into Buffalo and we smashed the hell out of them. And I remember the tailgates, and I could just tell like there was a vibe. Like people were really up for that game, and then I took a friend of mine who'd been a Bills fan for years and never been to see them in person. And she was almost emotional when she walked into the stadium. It was like the vibe in that stadium that time was just something else. It was so loud all game, which is incredible. But maybe actually I'll go for my first ever trip to Orchard Park. And you'll remember the game because it was the one where Micah Hyde returned the onside kick.
That was Miami too.
For a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yep, it was. That's right. And that was my first ever trip to Orchard Park. And I remember driving up to the stadium, and it was like a mythical moment for me. This is a place I went to saw the snow when I was a kid. And it was almost like, does this place really exist? And I was like, holy shit, yeah, this is incredible. And that for me, that first experience of seeing a game in person, and we were behind, I think, in that first half as well, if I remember correctly. And obviously Micah Hyde did that incredible return. So yeah, that was something special. That's gonna be right up there. Actually, you know, maybe one other moment, and I wasn't at this game, but remember the game where we beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah.
That was the game where I was like, these guys are the real deal. These guys can do it. There's something special being built here. That was the moment I believe that, yeah, we're going to be going for Super Bowls. We're going to be competing for Super Bowls as long as this guy Josh Allen is built. So that sticks in my mind.
All right, should I hit him with the hypothetical since he just said Super Bowl?
I don't know. I like the other hypothetical, the Josh Allen hypothetical, not the Belichick hypothetical. I think that was
okay. All right, so here's a hypothetical that was given to us after I was spinning a hypothetical on others. So, if you were to bring in Tom Brady, bench Josh Allen. No.
Josh Allen gets traded.
Oh,
Josh Allen gets traded. Josh Allen gets traded for a heap load. We get a lot. We sign Tom Brady for 1 year. He wins the Super Bowl, but you've lost the services of Josh Allen for the rest of his career. Would you follow that scenario, or would you say, I've got a Josh Allen in his prime. I'm willing to hang on and see what he can deliver in the coming years. But you're going to win a Super Bowl. You got one Super Bowl guaranteed.
I'm gonna gamble and go, I want to win with Josh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's not a popular answer, but he's the reason why we're in this position. But,
so the original hypotheticals were if you could guarantee a Super Bowl by bringing in Belichick as your coach, guaranteed, would you do it?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd do that.
So keep Josh, ditch McDermott.
Josh. Yeah. If the price is a coach, sure. Absolutely.
Okay, so speaking of coaches, are you a McDermott guy or no?
I am, but there's a limit, right? So I think that, again, the reason we're here right now is because of McDermott. There are definitely some weaknesses. We've seen them. We all know them. We remember them. there was a time where I felt like he was always learning and he was always getting better. I'm not sure we're in that phase anymore. I don't have infinite patience, but I think you also got to be very careful what you wish for. You know, we had a long time. What was it? 17 years, something like that. We now are consistently being there in the playoffs and trying to get to a Super Bowl. We feel like we've got the capabilities to do it. If you're going to get rid of McDermott, who are you bringing in that's better?
Right.
Who's available? Right. What are you replacing him with that's better than what we have? And it's easy to say to get rid of somebody, but the question is much harder when you start to look at the other piece of the puzzle, right? So, sure, I mean, like, you can go and try and get somebody off the Shanahan tree. Does that deliver us a Super Bowl? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's just, I think you just be careful what you wish for. So I'm not in there kick him out. Let's see how the next 2 years develop. But he's got to go and do it, right? He's the guy with his name on the seat, and I think you can't have infinite patience. There will come a point where I think you have to go and say, well, let's try somebody else. But I don't think his name is off just yet. I also think that Terry thinks I'm off for sure. The culture is built. If he wants to sell out that new stadium, he wants that consistency, and I think most owners, that's what they're looking for, right? Sold out stadiums, be there every year. There or thereabouts. So I think McDermott's got a little while to go yet.
Okay.
How about you guys? I mean, the three you agree in terms of McDermott?
If Sean McDermott, in my opinion, if he didn't coach the defense with what he had this season, and they maybe had the same result if Frazier was here, I think he saved his seat for a year, coaching such a great defense with minimal pieces.
Yep.
But I think when it comes down to playoff football, I think it's the same song and dance every year right now. Is you meet Mahomes, you meet Reed, and you get outcoached, you get outplayed.
Yeah. I think I'm excited to see what Joe Brady does with a football season and an offense that is really his own, as opposed to inheriting one halfway through a season. And I hope that what we see is something even better than what we saw last season. All right, Diggs is gone, but we all know that Diggs wasn't as productive as he had been earlier in his Bills career. Hand this over to Brady and just let him do the offense. I think there's the reason why Brian Dable and McDermott were clashing is because McDermott wanted his fingers in the offense all the time. I just think you got to let him run, let Brady run, and let's see what he can do. Take your fingers out of that and let him do what he wants to do. Because I'm pretty optimistic about Joe Brady. Honestly, I think what we saw. If you look at the statistics, if you look at what he was working with, you look at that drop in Higgs production, you look at the drop in Gabriel Davis production, and he's still at 6-1 record, with no off season. That was being his team. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. What's your take on that trade, the Diggs trade?
Man, I think I was at I don't know if you guys were at the game where we played the Browns in Detroit. When the heavy snow was moved, I was actually in Chicago, and it turned out I could make that game. And I remember seeing Diggs arguing with him on the sideline because he wasn't getting the targets at like 3 or 4 catches or something at the point. I was like, that's a pretty petulant reaction. And of course, if you look at every single layer of the issues last off season, where he leaves training camp and OTAs, you look at the disagreement he had with Josh on the sideline after the Bengals loss. I was also at that game. Everyone was hurting, but I mean, that season was just insane. He strikes me as the guy, from the meme who's walking down the street with his girlfriend. I mean, he's got his eyes turned to that other girl that's passing. So I can't say I'm happy about it because Diggs has been a cornerstone of this franchise for the last few years, but I also trust Bean and McDermott to get the right culture, and I think they've had enough of it. I think they just had enough of it, and I think they say, right, well, do we trade him now? We get something for him on next season, probably we can get way less after he's been, a pain in the ass for another season, and he's another year older. Oh, by the way, we need to also draft a wide receiver and get some new blood in, so target's going to spread around again. Is this going to get better or worse? And I think they would say, this is going to get worse. Let's get whatever we can, and we'll make up for it somehow. So it's not great. As Bean said, we're not stronger now without Diggs, but I understand it. And I think the fact they were prepared to do that deal when they did it and the way they did it for the compensation they got told me just how difficult this was. I suspect last summer they did a deal and said, look, give us one more season and we'll trade you. You know, when they brought him back to OTAs, that's my best guess. They said, look, if we can get a reasonable compensation, we'll trade you. Give us one more season. And that's why that production dropped off in the second half of the season, because he knew he wasn't going to be there, right? And that's why they started using some of those other weapons more significantly, because they knew he wasn't going to be there. That's the only scenario that really adds up to me is they did a deal with him. But I don't know. It's a tough one.
I mean, that deal also shows that like no one really wanted the guy if you can't really get much more than what you got.
Right.
He was that.
I mean, the compensation's pretty poor, right? I mean, it's especially the fact it's not even this season, this draft pick. That's the frustrating thing. We can't go out and we had a second this year. That would have been worth a lot more. But it goes to show, just how ready they were to move. So I think after that, look at enjoy their stuff together. I'm sure they made the best decision they could see. But it's disappointing for sure. It makes me think that I think Diggs is a good guy. You see him, hanging out with Bills fans and being a cool part of the community. But I just think he's one of those people that he's always looking for the next thing. And, he wants out. The fact that he restructured that deal in Texas to mean that he can get out of it and play the free agency game all the time. He's just looking for the most attractive woman he can see. That's basically speaking about that need.
Yeah. What do you think the Bills have any room to get a free agent signing, or are they just going all draft?
My best guess right now is we draft a guy and then we sign a veteran in the summer at that trade White cap league.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And we'll see what we have out of the draft and then decide what kind of receiver we want to get, see who's lying around. And I just think we can draft a guy, and I think we will, and I think we'll draft probably first round, some second or later. But that room is missing a bit of experience. The Bills like to have a vet in every room, and I don't know if Curtis Stanley's really that guy. So I think that we'll try and pick up somebody. That's my best guess. I think if they don't think they can afford to do that, we'll see them draft 2 wide receivers. Just replace Gabriel Davis, right? We need somebody who has the ability to grow into an X. We need somebody who can stretch the field. Neither of those are on the books right now. So we need 2, as far as I can see.
Do you think the Bills can move up high enough without giving away too many picks and still getting something, or you think they're going to sit?
I don't know how. I mean, I've scouted this draft class pretty heavily. I think there's a lot of talent in here. There's a lot of actually really good talent in the second round. Everybody knows the 3 big names that the first round. Harrison Jr. and Dunze and Davis. I don't think we'll trade between those guys. I think those guys are going to be going in the top 10. I'm not sure we're going to be prepared to spend the draft capital. I don't think Bean's going to spend the draft capital to go up that high. But Brian Thomas Jr., if he was to fall into the late teens, I can see that. I think that second round from next year would get us to that position. If we didn't get that, then I think there's other guys that are interesting. I think Ricky Pearsall's a guy I like. Jalan Polk's a guy I like. Troy Franken's a guy I like. Xavier Legette's a guy I like. I think these are, not the polished articles that the other 4 are, but these are guys that could develop into something that is pretty good. It's a very good class. So I think there's players there for us. And I think the way it most likely plays out is if Bean thinks he can get up to Brian Thomas Jr., he'll spend the cash he needs to go get that done. If he doesn't, maybe he goes and gets another edge rusher or something. Or trades down, maybe. Trades down as a second, try and get another third round pick. That's my best guess.
In terms of your forecasting beyond draft, the Buffalo Bills 24-25 season, I think we were all kind of surprised they were able to snatch another AFC's championship from this division. We knew going into the season they were going to be in cap jail. They just traded Diggs. what's your outlook for this upcoming season? Kind of putting the draft, because we really can't predict who they're going to be selected by the side. How do you see the Buffalo Bills faring this year?
So I think we will win the AFC East again. I think this defense is legit. I think that you're right. Yeah, we've had a lot of turnover, but I think that we've got two really good cornerbacks. I think we've got two excellent linebackers. I think we've got a solider defensive tackle group as we've ever had. I think AJ Epinesa will deliver more sacks.
Ooh, bold. It's bold.
Yeah, I think he will. You look at how many snaps he got and how much production he had. He was fourth on rotation. I think he will deliver a little bit more. Maybe not. I don't think he's mostly going to be like a 12 sack season guy, but if he gets 8 to 10, I think he will. I think the issue is Von Miller. He's the puzzle. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. I think the Bills are going to want to hedge against that. So we lost our primary pass rush from last year, so I think there's a good chance we draft it eventually, honestly. And they hope they'll get something out of that. But I think the defense will be good. We saw what McDermott did with a very good defense last year. And then it's a question of what Brady do on the offensive side of the ball. Khalil Shakir will be better. I thought he was outstanding towards the end of last season. Josh Allen's another year experienced. I hope they've got this offensive line right. We don't know, but I'd like to believe that they would have done that shift with Morse if they didn't believe in this new structure. I think they'll add another running back. James Cook will be another year more experienced. Spencer Brown will be another year experienced. If you look around that team, most of these players are going to be better than they were this season. Big hole is the wide receiver, right? And I don't think they're going to get a second-digit production, but get something and spread the ball around. I think there's a good chance we still win the AFC East this year. How deep we go, I think, is a very different question. But if I look at the Dolphins, they lost so much on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not a two. And he's solid, but he's not top level guys. Who knows what happens to Aaron Rodgers? He's going to play that New Jersey turf this season. His body hold up, a year older. He left him 4 snaps last year. I'll never believe in the Jets, and Patriots will rebuild it. So I still think on paper the Bills are probably marginal favourites over the Jets if Rodgers stays healthy and the Dolphins. But I don't think we'll go deep into the playoffs, and I think that's okay. We're having a massive rebuild there, and how many players have we got from? If we can win the AFC East in these conditions, then that's a good achievement.
Okay, I would sign. Yeah. What do you?
How many wins do you think are in this team? You're forecasting out. I mean, this is a tough schedule, right?
Yeah. I gotta let me pull up.
If they get 12, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah, I was thinking 13 myself.
I think 11 wins the division.
Yeah. You didn't mention Greg Rousseau's name. What do you think about that guy?
So I like Greg Rousseau a lot. But I think Nielsen would say what he is. He's fantastic at setting the edge. He's that compression style that he likes. He's long. He's in every down, but he's never going to be a double-digit sack guy. I'm just not sure that's him. I'm not sure that's his game. I'm not sure that's the direction he's going in, which worries me a little bit because you need one of those guys that will see somebody who's going to have some bend and get around the edge.
Yeah.
Sack some guys, right? So that's what worries me a little bit about that position. I like Greg Rousseau. I would give him the 50-year option. It's too crazy. It's 13 million, something like that. I think he's worth that.
He always seems to be like
what he is, right?
Yeah, he always seems to be like a knuckle or two away from getting a sack on like almost every other play.
I think we're waiting for him to take that next step. He's kind of plateaued a little bit in his development. He's got all the mechanics you would want in a rusher at the end. I think we want to see that one more step to where he's actually becoming a double-digit sack guy, which is why I think they hope for in the draft.
Double-digit? I'd be okay with 8.
I want that next step to be 12, 11, 13. I think he's got the potential. He's a beast.
He is physically, but I don't know if he's emotionally. I don't know if he's got it. I don't know.
That's the easy part.
He doesn't look mean enough or something.
What he's been asked to do, he's even asked just to control one side of fine. Right? You don't know, right? This is the thing. You never know. What are they actually being asked to do? And it may be that Bob Miller's isn't anything next season. Jail, whatever happens.
We almost hope he does.
Maybe they say, right, well, let's take the leash off him. So now you're just get your ass back into the pass rush, right?
Yeah.
Forget about just going.
Keep contained though.
I don't know. Yeah. But I think he's being asked to contain. I think he does that job really well. But yeah, I would love to see him break out. Just a little cautious.
Okay, next player, Kyrie Elam. What do you think about that?
Right now he's a bust, isn't he?
Well,
we went and got a guy who has all the athletic traits, but I'm rather he's a press man guy and he plays on defense and he's not adapted. It's pretty disappointing. I think it was a mistake to pick. I got friends who know way more about defensive backs than I do that still think there's potential there. I would love to see that, but I don't think we've seen it yet. We've seen flashes here and there, but I mean, this guy's a first round pick. Right. That's not his fault, but I think we have to look at this as a guy that's probably not going to deliver. But you can look at the other way, right? Which is, all right, well, we did get Christian Benford, who is a more than competent cornerback. The draft is a crapshoot, right? You just don't know.
Yep.
And if it had been the other way around and Christian Benford was giving the Benford by production, I think everyone would be pretty happy. Maybe it's right, it's not a superstar, not a pro ball, he's competent, he's fine. But the fact he was the first round pick means that we go, we're a bust man, essentially. But he's got to do it this year or not. How do you get one more chance? But yeah, it's disappointing, really disappointing.
Is Hyde still on our roster? Or he free agent gone, or what's going on with him?
He's a free agent right now. Yeah,
all right.
He's not officially retired. So
we're not bringing him back, probably, right?
I don't think so, unless he's. I mean, he might just be looking around and seeing what's available for him, and maybe they bring him back on a veteran or something, just a bit of experience in the room. I mean, guarantee that. I mean, Hyde's one of my favorite all-time players. I love the guy, but I think we've seen the injuries take a hold on him. He's not the player he once was. A lot of people say we need to get younger and cheaper, and safety positions going to be one of those.
Do you think DeMar Hamlin's going to make a huge jump, or he is what he is?
I think he is what he is. I may be wrong, but I suspect. It's the funny thing about the safety position. I mean, you see this coaching staff, specifically, really develop defensive backs, develop safeties, especially. I mean, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer were not what we think of them now when they joined the Bills, right? These were other teams' off-cuts, basically, and they made them the best safety duo we've ever seen, one of the best safety duos in the NFL. So I don't worry about safety. I feel like this coaching staff will work it out, and they will develop players and will get good production safety. They know what they're doing. They've already put positions on that field who knows how to coach safety. So I'm not worried about that. I think we'll be fine. But I don't see Jamal Hamlin being a rotational guy.
Okay. What do you think about Bass? Do you think he's on thin ice?
Oh, yeah.
I want to add to that. Were you comfortable with sending him out there as kind of the last play? What was your mindset during that Chiefs?
Go for it.
I still for 1 second he was going to make that kick. Not for 1 second. I think he's had a goal. Mentally, he wasn't what we'd seen him be in the past. I was not surprised at all that kick didn't go through, and I think he's on very thin ice, especially given what he's paid. He's paid for like 4 or 5 kickers in the league. But it's tricky with kickers, sometimes they find the mojo and sometimes they lose it. You got to decide whether how to the patience be. What we need to see him is have 2 really clean games to kick this season, and maybe he gets his confidence back. We can get the guy back to the field again. But I think he's on thin ice. He can go find a kicker if you need one. But I think given what he's paid, he has to deliver this year. He has to deliver in the big moments, and he has to get his confidence back. But yeah, I was not confident. Not for 1 second. But that I think he's.
Is there a kicker in the draft that you like?
Actually, I haven't scouted kickers, and I never do.
Okay.
I trust other people's expertise on that. That's something.
I mean, if
how much time and energy I have.
I mean, if they can get
scouting punters and kickers is not.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one there late, maybe they'll grab one.
Yeah.
Why not?
Do something with a bit of pressure on them. Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah.
Charlie, do you have a declared soccer team over there? What's your
Oh, I do, yeah. So growing up in Manchester, I'm a Man City fan.
Man City man?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm a Man City fan. I've been a season ticket holder for a number of years. And, I don't get to do as many games as I'd like to, but I'll be there when they play Real Madrid in a couple of weeks.
That's what I think.
So who do you love more, the Bills or Man City?
Actually, this is a tricky. People ask me this question, and I ask them to pick which of your favorite child.
Yeah.
What I will say is, if it was a question of the Bills winning the Super Bowl or the City winning the Premier League, I would choose the Bills winning the Super Bowl.
That's good.
Okay.
You've had some success with Man City, though, right?
I had some success. Yeah, I had 30 years of misery followed by 10 years of success.
Right.
You guys soccer fans at all?
I'm a self-proclaimed Arsenal fan.
There you go.
And then I'll literally declare that, and then all of a sudden, just like that, they turned it on and started being a really competitive franchise. And it was really just kind of annoying of one of my friends who's a diehard soccer fan, like diehard. He's you, but in Buffalo with Premier League. He's up early for the games because they're usually on like around locally like 10, 11-ish, depending on the daylight savings. And just to annoy him, I declared myself an Arsenal fan, but they've really, over the last 2 years have been a remarkable story. In the Premier League.
Have you ever been to the Arsenal Sports Club in Buffalo?
I have not, but I'm going now that you told me about it.
Yeah, there's a bar. I think it's Mesquite or something in Buffalo.
Really?
I remember the name correctly. Yeah, I'll dig it out and I'll send it to you. But I've been a couple of times because it's a number of teams play it, a number of teams supporters clubs. And, there's actually a really nice community of Arsenal fans there.
That's awesome.
Nice people. So, yeah, I'd recommend it.
Awesome.
I grew up not a soccer fan. I grew up a football guy. Played football, all that stuff. My son is turning into quite the soccer player, so I've really started respecting it and loving it. And then I watched a lot of World Cup this last year. And oh my God, was that some very good soccer. Yeah. That Mbappe or whatever that guy's name is, holy cow.
Oh my God, yeah, the guy's insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, and then the other guy who's the main guy there, though. Number one.
Ronaldo?
No, the other guy.
Mason.
Yeah, him. He's unreal.
Yeah, he's something else. Probably the best players I would think.
Oh my God, the thing he can do with a soccer ball in his foot.
It is unbelievable. And
he plays in Miami, right?
Yes. When he does play. But the World Cup really it's kind of like the thing that gets Americans' attention. Yeah. Soccer is growing here. It's certainly not on the level in terms of like pro football or Major League Baseball, but it is growing. But the World Cup is what really.
Like you got it coming to North America, right? In a few years' time.
Right.
That's going to be incredible.
I think it's going to be what Canada's going to host. We're going to host, and I believe Mexico's going to host. And I think that's such a fantastic to allow 3 countries to participate. I think it's going to be fantastic.
It's really interesting. When I first started going to the US, it was 15, 20 years ago, and you couldn't get to see a game ever anywhere. And then over the years, what's happened is that people started playing like FIFA. Obviously, it's on TV a little bit more. People get into the World Cups. It seems to really grow. And I think also a lot of kids have been playing it. So people, and they go and play FIFA. Then they pick a team and they start to figure out players, and then slowly it starts to grow. Yeah, it's kind of insane how much bigger it is now. I've been to a whole heap of Man City sports clubs all over the US, but I can't work. It's awesome. It's great with me. So again, super niche in the US, but there's good fun and everybody gets to watch what they want to watch.
Yeah,
very cool.
All right, Mike.
I'm good. Yeah, this is great.
All right. How many other podcasts have you
participated in?
Or collabed with?
Oh, yeah, we have a few. So I'm trying to think. Like mostly ones that are over here. We've had, I would say mostly. It's funny. So I talk to a lot of the guys who podcast, we're going to have a few of the sort of bigger names on this year. Name any names right now, but yeah, there's a lot of podcasts hosting on the sidelines as well. There's no such thing as part-time NFL fans here, right? Because you've got to get a plane. You've got to put the effort into it.
Oh, you guys get a lot harder than us.
Yeah, so people are all in. So yeah, we've done a few. It's always good fun to talk to other Bills fans. I did a lot of press when the Bills came to London. I did some 7 TV spots.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I was like the main guy at one of the factors for the pros. But yeah, that was fun.
Have you spoken to the guys at Breaking Tables yet?
No. Would you recommend it?
I'm trying to get lined up with them also. So when I talk to them, I'll push them your way.
Yeah, please do. Always happy to.
Yeah, they're out of Florida.
I guess the main one is one of the Cover One podcasts. That's I go on. There's a couple of guys who used to work for the Bills and I've listened to that one, and I've been on that one a little bit. It's called If the Walls Could Talk, and I've been on a couple of times. Actually met one of the guys when I was over in Buffalo as well. They're great guys. Highly recommend talking to those dudes.
You got to ask one pizza question.
Hold on. What was it called? If the Walls Could Talk?
If the Walls Could Talk, it's on the Cover One network.
All right. I'll reach out to them.
The guys that hosted, one of the guys used to work in the back office for Wales before this era. He was there for 20 years or something. The other guy was a coach of the Bills.
Oh.
Now neither of them have any connection to the Bills, but they host one podcast. And they don't. It's not like a regular thing. It's just whenever they have an interesting guest. But they often tell all the stories from the Bills from the previous eras and stuff. Have various people on team and respect and have heard of. Just try and tell different kind of stories about being around the Bills. They're the great guys.
We're the ZaBills podcast, and I think it would be a mistake if we didn't ask you about the pizza and London or in England in general. I know fish and chips. I know your guys' delicacy out there. Do you have a pizza recommendation? Is there or is it all chains? What do you do when you want to watch a Bills game and have a pizza?
Right. So this is the thing. So our pub doesn't sell pizza. Right? We don't have pizza at our pub, which is crazy. But there is a fantastic pizza place, which is, and now I'm just blanking on the name. There's very few teams that have their own bar. Right? So we have one, the Eagles have one, and I think there's a couple of others, but that's not it. And right next to the Eagles bar, pretty much, is a place called Rudy's. It's 5 minutes walk from our pub. It's a great pizza place. You can get it in Manchester, you can get it in London now. It's just a handful of these places, and that's great pizza. Yeah, that would be my big recommendation. If you want something a little bit more upmarket, there's a chain called Pizza Express, which you can find in every small town in the UK, which is very popular. And again, it's pretty good pizza. But yeah, I actually went to Pearl Street last month. That's that pizza. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm a big pizza guy.
Very cool. Very cool.
Hey, Callan. Who's your favorite Premier soccer player? Who? We're talking to a Man City fan, and we were curious who you are.
Man City.
Yeah, he likes Man City.
Tough sell. These days. Tough sell.
Who do you like? Okay, all right. Who knows? All right. So that Rudy's, is that a pizza only? Is that a pizza shop, pizza restaurant?
Yeah, it's a pizza restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, it started off in Manchester, which is why I got to know it. It was the base of an apartment. A good friend of mine used to really go to Rudy's, and then suddenly it's opened the second one in Manchester, and now they open one in London. And it's literally 5 minutes from that bar. So yeah, Rudy's is. I'd be my big recommendation.
All right, because our neighbor and friend, he travels quite a bit for work, and he goes to London once a year. And I think he sent us a picture of the pizza, and it was not what we are used to here. So I don't know where he went.
I mean,
we'll have to find out. Do some homework.
Yeah, you get a wide variety of food, but in London you can usually find meat.
Okay, so I've got a random question about food. As a kid, I watched the movie King Ralph. Okay, they talked about something in there called spotted dick. Is that real? Is that something real there?
It is something real, but nobody eats eats it. I mean, like, this is the funny thing. So UK obviously has a reputation for terrible food. British food's bad. And I would mostly agree with that. And if you come to UK, nobody eats it, right? Nobody eats British food. We eat Italian food,
Okay.
Mexican food, and Indian food.
Ooh, Mexican in London. I'm in.
Yeah. You get anything, especially in London. You get pretty much anything you want. So I would say, yeah, like if you go to a pub,
Okay, what is that? Is that?
I'm not even sure what it is.
I thought it was it like a fruitcake thing.
But theoretically, it would be a traditional English food from like 40, 50 years ago.
Okay, all right. Well, that movie's probably 30 years old or so now, right?
I know. John Goodman.
Oh,
yeah.
Love that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a funny movie.
Oh yeah.
It's a British steamed pudding with dried fruits. Yeah, I don't.
Sounds like our fruitcake over here,
Yes.
right? A fruitcake loaf.
It looks like a little fruitcake. Yeah, it's a little fruitcake.
Okay. Well, Charlie, of London Bills backers, thank you so much for talking.
It's been our great pleasure to have you from across the pond in England, being our boots in the ground in Manchester. It was fantastic.
Great interview.
Fun fact for the city of Buffalo and Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting our franchise.
Hey, if you ever come back, look us up. Maybe we can take you out on a pizza tour.
Yeah. I'm hoping to go to a couple of games this year.
Yeah, we'll take you on a pizza tour or chicken wings. You into chicken wings?
Of course.
All right, we can do something like that.
Last time I was there.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
ZaBill's Podcast is a presentation of Kmart Productions, sponsored by MJB Electric and Dudza Chiropractic. Thank you for listening, and if you haven't, please follow, rate, review the show. It helps with the algorithm. ZaBills is executively produced by me, Kyle. Executive sound engineering by yours truly, also me. Fundraising, also by Kyle. All artwork executively produced by Avery and Mark Rochon. What the heck is this? All music and lighting executively produced by Kyle. That's more like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Please drive carefully and arrive home safely. Good night.
Yeah, baby.